Airbnb reported their earnings this past week, and the stock slips as travel app warns of slowdown in room night bookings growth. Now, this is the daily chart. Just want to show you on the earnings we had a sell-off. Now, a great setup would have been if price could have pulled back to this $140 level. Why? Well, look at that double bottom that we had that was established back in January, and what you actually have is a nice W pattern in which price took out the pivot high to the left. Typically, when you break out of that W pattern, price typically retests that apex, and this would have been a great setup had the sell-off pull back just another roughly $2. Nevertheless, the sell-off was short-lived as price did close the day higher, and then on Thursday you can see this gap and go. We ended Friday with a inside candle, which means that potentially a breakout is inevitable. We just don't know what direction as of yet. Now, before we continue with the analysis, let's actually look at the results. So in a letter to the shareholder, the company said that a tough year-on-year comparison would impact the growth rate of nights booked in its first quarter compared to its prior 3-month period. The average day rate, or ADR, which measures how much hosts charge guests per day, is also expected to be flat. Revenue growth is subsequently seen decelerating to between 12 and 14%, down from a 17% increase in the fourth quarter, a mark that was itself the slowest of any quarter in 2023, despite continued strength in international travel demand and foreign exchange tailwinds. Now, Airbnb is a unique travel company, but we see this steady room rate deceleration being a headwind to the multiple investors who are willing to pay, according to Morgan Stanley. But the Morgan Stanley analysts retain some positivity around Airbnb, citing a global supply of accommodations that continues to grow nicely. Meanwhile, Airbnb launched a new $6 billion stock buyback program, and the chief executive, Brian Chesky, told investors that 2024 would mark an inflection point in the firm's push to expand its services. All right, so we kind of looked at things on a daily chart. Just want to look out and see what things look like on a macro standpoint. And you can see on the monthly chart, we do have price making higher highs and higher lows. We do have price respecting this massive uptrend. And we do have a massive support resistance band at the $140 level. Again, another reason this would have been a great level to go long. And if I look at current price and I go up into the left, I don't really see anything until we get to roughly 170. Now let's take it down to the weekly chart. And on the weekly chart, you have your 13 and 26 simple weekly moving average pointing up. You recently had a bullish crossover. That's where the 13 crosses over and above the 26 weekly moving average. And looking at things on the weekly chart, from the monthly chart, I mentioned no real selling until roughly 170. However, I can see why price is stalling. You have a huge weekly sellers level. At 157. And let's look at that formation. You have a drop in price, basic candle, and then the drop out. So this leg took out, again, that huge support that served in the past. And what did price do when it came back? Shot down. Price couldn't even get back to that bottom portion of the zone, shot down. And now price is back at that level. And you can see this time price penetrated the zone even further to get those remaining unfilled sell orders. So eventually, each time you tap the zone, it's kind of like hitting a dam until it eventually breaks. And that's what's going to happen as price continues to eat away into this zone here. Nevertheless, not really a high reward to risk setup or opportunity with Airbnb. So I anticipate price just kind of basing for some weeks before price eventually breaks either out or down. Thanks for watching. Subscribe. Please like the video.